Hello friends, welcome again. Friends, as the students of English literature, many times we come across some terms like satire, irony, allegory, etc. In my previous videos, I have discussed what satire is, what irony is, and today in this video, friends, we want to discuss what allegory is in English literature. Friends, we will discuss the definition of allegory. We will have a kind of long explanation of this term, and then at the end I will show you some very important English works, works from English literature who are allegorical works. Okay, so friends, let's begin with the definition of allegory. But before we define the term allegory, try to understand this term itself, the etymology of this term. This term, allegory, actually comes from Latin language. Okay, and in Latin language, it means veiled language. Okay, or figurative language. Veil means parda. Okay, so in Latin, the original meaning of the word allegory, it means a language which is having a veil, a parda, right? So a kind of disguised language is known as allegory in Latin language. Okay, but allegory as a device, as a tool which is used by the English authors. Okay, let's try to understand what that allegory is, what this device is. According to Coleridge, friends, you know that S.T. Coleridge, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, is an important romantic poet of English literature and a critique of English literature. Coleridge has said that an allegory is the employment means the use of a certain set of characters, actions or situations or circumstances in such a manner that it conveys some moral qualities or moral concepts. Okay, so the basic idea behind the use of this allegory in literature, according to S.T. Coleridge, is that some characters, some situations, some actions are presented in such a manner that they express some moral qualities, some moral concepts with the help of this allegory. Okay, allegories in literature present some situations, some characters or some events to express some abstract ideas, right? Abstract ideas means the ideas which you cannot express so simply. Some ideas, some thoughts are very difficult to express. Say for example, some philosophical thoughts. Okay, such heavy thoughts, philosophical thoughts, the authors sometimes find it difficult to express in their works of art, and in that case allegory is used by the authors. Okay, in other words, you can say that allegory is a story within a story. That means there are two layers of stories, right? The upper layer, the superficial story, and the lower layer, that means the hidden story. There are two meanings and two stories going on together in allegorical works of art. Okay, it has two stories and that's why it has two meanings, right? The surface story narrates some events, okay, which have one superficial meaning, and the hidden story is implied and understood by the readers. Okay, and it has a very deeper meaning, a very serious meaning, this hidden story, which is more important than the superficial meaning of the surface story. Say, for example, the surface story might be about two neighbors, right? Just to understand this, I am giving you these examples that two neighbors are throwing stones, throwing rocks at each other's homes, right? This is one story. But the hidden story, what we understand as the readers, is that the author tries to present a war between two different countries or two different cultures, a conflict between two different cultures. Okay, so in Allegory, the writer does not directly present what he actually wants to present. He indirectly takes help of some characters, some situations through which we as the readers understand what the writers actually want to suggest. Okay, why allegories are important in literature? Allegories are very important in literature. Why? Because they are the tools to express the most difficult ideas in the simplest manner. Okay, some highly philosophical thoughts sometimes they are very difficult to express directly in literature. In such cases, if at all the author expresses them directly, the readers do not understand them. So, in such cases, the use of allegory makes the author's task very easier, right? That's why allegories are very important. Now, these allegories, this allegory is not a modern device. It has been used, since time immemorial. If I talk about the ancient philosophers and ancient writers like Plato, Cicero, okay, Appius, Augustine, all these writers, ancient writers who lived before some 2000 years, they have used allegory in their literature. Allegories were written during the Middle Ages also, okay, somewhere between 12th to 15th century. It is said that in French literature, the moralistic didactic poem, okay, Roma de la Rose, that means Romance of the Rose, was published during the 13th century. This poem is considered as a very popular allegorical work of art in French literature. In the same manner, if you talk about Indian literature, friends, when we were children, our grandparents used to tell us the stories about the lion, about the fox, about the crows, right? About the tortoise. You remember the stories, right? These stories, friends, are from Panchatantra, written by Vishnu Sharma. They were published in 3rd century BC. That means about 2300 years back. Okay, and these stories of Panchatantra, they are allegorical stories. Okay, why? Because each character represent some quality, some vices or some virtues, right? So they are known as allegorical stories, Panchatantra. If I talk about English literature, because we all are the students of English literature, so we must also have some knowledge about some works, allegorical works in English literature. Then remember, friends, John Bunyan, who lived during the 17th century, he has written the Pilgrim's Progress. Okay, and it was published in 1678. This is a very nice example of allegorical work. It is prose literature, and here John Bunyan has presented the journey of man towards the attainment of salvation. Okay, what is our aim of life? To achieve salvation, moksha, right? So this journey of man is presented through some characters, right? The journey done by Christian. The character, the protagonist of this work, Christian, is not merely a common adventurous stories. In this Pilgrim's Progress, John Bunyan has presented some adventures of this character called Christian. Okay, but through that character, John Bunyan wants to present the whole Christian allegory or Christian life of man, right? How a man progresses in life towards towards the attainment of salvation, right? There are so many examples, like Dr. Faustus, written by Christopher Marlowe, is also known as an allegorical work in which the protagonist, Dr. Faustus, represents the everyman in this world, right? So the story of Dr. Faustus is not his story, it is my story, it is your story. Okay. Let's take one more example from English literature. George Orwell, okay, he wrote a play entitled as Animal Farm. In this play also, there are two stories, one surface story, okay, and the other one is the hidden story. Here the surface story is about a group of farm animals who rise up, who revolt, they kick out the humans and they try to run the farm themselves, okay. So this is the surface story, but the hidden story is about the Russian Revolution, which took place in the 20th century, okay, in which each character presents or represents somebody, okay, each character stands for something. The pigs presented in this play, they represent the communist leaders like Stalin and Lenin. The humans presented in this play, they represent capitalists, okay. The horses who are presented here in this play, they represent the working class people of the modern world. So all in all, George Orwell's Animal Farm is also a very good example of allegorical play. Friends, before I leave, let me conclude the whole idea that allegory is a very important device used by the authors in literature to express the most difficult ideas. Okay, number one. Mostly allegories are used to express moral values. Okay, in allegorical works, the characters represent some vices or virtues, and allegories are found in all forms of literature, whether poetry, drama, novel, short story, or anything. So friends, I hope now the idea is clear. If you have any doubts or questions, do write to me in the comment section. Friends, please share this video among your friends. Thank you very much.